Alright, we're on satanic sin number 4, which is self-deceit. Sometimes when I read over Anton LaVey's stuff, whether it's the 9 satanic statements or the 9 satanic sins or the 11 rules of the earth, it's kind of like I feel like George Carlin with when he knocks down the 10 commandments to one commandment. But it's self-deceit. Now, self-deceit, of course, is mentioned in the 9 satanic statements, and he goes, but it should be mentioned again. And that's true. Self-deceit should be mentioned again, but it actually kind of just correlates to solipsism. And in my opinion, you should just use self-deceit instead of solipsism, because who the hell's heard of solipsism? But basically how it works is, again, you have to understand the nature of Satanism, which was it was created to liberate one from the false beliefs of the white light religions. And the white light religions are those religions which are based in supernaturalism. And this is why I do plan on doing a big video about how the embrace of supernaturalism by LaVeyan Satanists and in the Satanic Bible under the chapter on magic. See, magic is in itself a form of self-deceit, but LaVey does explain that it's a purposeful self-deceit, although what is somewhat confusing is he seems to believe in magic himself. And it depends on what you mean. See, there's greater and lesser magic. Lesser magic is based in biological and psychological rules, how we relate to one another, how we can manipulate people through basically behavioral laws. However, greater magic or ceremonial magic is for the most part hogwash. However, as a person that has practiced magic, I can attest to the fact that white magic, which is not practiced in Satanism, white magic, which is geared toward achieving a better understanding of oneself and correlates more to yoga. In fact, Aleister Crowley, who was big on white magic, despite what people say, white magic is literally used to achieve a higher communion, basically to unite. Yoga means union, to unite the higher self with the lower self. One of the issues that people have these days is they have agreed to fragment themselves into different pieces, the id, the superego, the ego, etc. These are all fallacies. There is only one being, one being, both carnal and basically there is one carnal being, one physical being, and even our mind is basically it is part of this carnal being. It is created through the biochemical happenings that take place in this body that we have is what makes our mind the way it is. So when one deceives oneself, and all religions, including Satanism, require some form of self-deceit, except, I would say, except for scientific pantheism, which is why I am a scientific pantheist. The reason all religions require some degree of self-deceit is in order to believe some of the silliness, you must actually lie to yourself. I have never believed, this is where I will say I was lucky that my father was a Satanist. I was never raised to believe in a god, or a goddess, or demons, or angels, or anything else. I was raised a very long time ago. From the time I was a toddler, I knew that everything good in this world came from humanity, and everything bad in this world came from humanity, and that you can choose to do good or you can choose to do bad, and you can choose to be good and you can choose to be bad. And that is the problem. Again, another issue that I think is happening with LaVeyan Satanists is they deceive themselves into this form of cultural relativism. LaVey himself was not a cultural relativist. He had spoken in terms that made him sound like a cultural relativist. But long story short, LaVey himself believed in strict law and order, as is noted mostly I think in his other writings like The Devil's Notebook and Satan Speaks, but he was very strict in a law and order mentality. What you will also find out in later books, and which I think is quite odd, is he started to embrace Zionism. Now, the embrace of Zionism by Anton LaVey is also a obvious thing. It's a tribal thing because he's a Jew. And again, this is a self-deceit brought about by his own Jewishness. Ayn Rand, who is one of my personally favorite philosophers, the founder of objectivism, again, ardent supporter of Zionism, not because she believed in it, but because she deceived herself into believing it because she thought that Zionism equaled the civilized man, were her words, if you watch the Donahue interview. And that's all I got to say at this point in time.